Jai Shrimanarayan, Jai Jagannath.
Jai,
Thanks.
Jai Shrimanarayana, Jai
Thank
Jagannath,
you
my
for your
obeisances to you,
time,
Mataji.
for
My obeisances to you,
participating.
Mataji. Thank you.
Okay. So, right. So today, you wanted to suggest a subject to discuss about.
Yes, Mataji, I think that what I wanted to talk to you about was that for neophytes and for newcomers into Sanatana Dharma, they're often confronted with images of Radha and Krishna, Shiva and Parvati. What we're talking about, in their eyes, they see Krishna, with Radha, or they see Parvati with
Yeah.
Shiva, and they see even Krishna with the gopis. What? So this can sometimes be a bit strange to people who aren't versed, like myself, ironically enough, with on this path. And what I wanted to understand is how do we approach this? How do we approach this phenomena? How do we bring what can sometimes appear to be a little bit strange into philosophy? How does it link to Vedanta? How does it link to Sanatana Dharma? And what are the
Yeah.
Mataji? What are the practical implications of that in our practice, in our sadhana? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this whole area.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Thanks. That this is a very good question. Very good point. The main thing, the main factor is that the one should listen to these narrations, these stories, from actual sincere devotees, from people who have some proper realization, who are not motivated by materialistic intents. It is said, I'm sure you heard it, that one should not listen to the narrations by professional reciters, because these narrations, these professional reciters, because they have materialistic intentions, purposes, they are contaminating. It's like snakes touching the milk, you know.
I
The
understand that, Mataji.
So the problem is that most people have heard about these stories from commercial or professional reciters. For example, we have a big example, a big production, commercial production, entertainment production in India, from the famous Amar Chitrakatha comics, to the very many TV serials and films and songs and everything that are called, they're defined as mythological. The problem is that people who don't have the proper realizations, they tend to adapt and modify the stories, or anyway present the stories according to their own vision. So most people come out of this contact thinking that the activities of the avatars are just like any ordinary human being. So sometimes on Quora I found people asking me, like, I want to get Radha as my lover. What should I do to get? It's like, okay.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Gosh.
It's like, okay. What that, these people, I don't know if they're, actual, people who want to know, sincere people, or they're just trolls or rage baiters, or they're trying to have fun at the expenses of religious people. But the problem is real. For whatever reason they bring it up. When people speak about mythological stories, they have lost the original meaning of the word mythos. Mythos in ancient Greek doesn't mean false. But mythical has become a myth, in the present, current culture, current language, is obviously carrying the meaning, the semantic meaning of false. Like when you find, is it true that eating, I don't know, ginger or eating
Yes.
meat doesn't cause cancer,
Sure,
or eating whatever,
Sure.
And the people say, no, it's a myth.
Yes, yes. But Mataji, it's not just like hearing it. When we now, when people who are neophytes or non-Hindus come into contact with Hindu
Well,
images or
I wouldn't
literature,
say neophyte or non-Hindus. I would say
yeah,
people who don't have the proper knowledge.
yeah. But when
Yeah.
people who don't have the proper knowledge, people like me, when we come into contact with even imagery, Mataji, our first contact with often organizations is the imagery of Radha and Krishna and Shiva and Parvati, and then people get sort of people go down this route of, oh, it's a romance, oh, it's divine lovers,
Okay,
and
there's
I
nothing
wanted
wrong
to
there.
understand this.
Okay.
Yes.
That basically is not wrong. The fact is that romantic love and attraction, and even erotic love, is a very fundamental power in the material world. So it's not bad in itself. The idea that it is bad in itself is typically Abrahamic. It's typically Zoroastrian. It's coming from this idea that matter and spirit are at odds with each other. You have to choose. If you choose matter, you are going to be a disaster. You have to choose spirit and completely become detached and reject the material world.
Duality.
Exactly. This is something that at some point was has become so toxic, like because it pushes people to demonize the material nature, which is stupid.
Absolutely, Matthew. And I think you and I have talked about that duality in previous discussions. But moving then on to the subject, this Radha Krishna, how do we approach whether it's imagery, whether it's the stories, how do we approach
first of
Radha
all,
Krishna, Shiva Parvati?
As I was saying, the first rule is to approach through the proper channel. don't try to approach this concept, imagery, stories, or whatever, through channels that are motivated by the wrong reasons. And the major wrong reason, as we were saying, professional reciters. People who make a living out of it. People who make a profit out of it. Whatever level of profit. It could be financial profit, selling advertisement on TV. It could be, selling cinema tickets. It could be selling records or audio tapes. It could be gaining followers and supporters or whatever. That's not the right motivation. Because what happens when people don't have the right motivation in depicting or narrating the lila? We can call them lila because they are lila. They are these transcendental activities that are like a theatrical story. If we do that, if we follow them, they will try to, they will be encouraged to modify things to make them more attractive to their customers. Or, deliberately, consciously or subconsciously, they will put their own ideas into it. Like this is also in the imagery. Like we see, sometimes I have seen, especially for Ganesh Puja, I have seen Ganesh as a cricketer. Ganesh as a baby.
Yes.
Ganesh with eyeglasses.
Yes. No, but Mataji, I mean.
But that is the same with Radha, Krishna, and Parvati Shiva. That's exactly the same. We need to understand that these personalities are not ordinary personalities. So, when the commercial, the professional reciters or artists, painters, whatever, try to present the personalities of God, they try to make them attractive according to their own mentality. Like, for example, Krishna. How many times you have seen Krishna portrayed as black?
Not many, actually, truth be told.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
But why is that? Because the people who portray Krishna, they believe that black is bad. So they are putting their own beliefs into the presentation. And that belief is not necessarily valid, because we know from all the Shastra Krishna is black. I was discussing this many years ago on Facebook, and one stupid guy said, "Oh, you're racist, Yeah, what? You stupid or what?" Yeah. This is because people don't get the stories or the images, from knowledgeable people. But in itself, as I was saying, the second step is we have to become. So the first step is don't listen to people, nothing else. But be aware that professional reciters are not the best source. Okay. Step number 2, get rid of your own prejudice and beliefs and conditionings and, confusing ideas. Like, for example, I think we mentioned some other time before, previously, that in itself, material nature, the body, the feelings, the sentiments, and even romantic love are not negative, are not opposed to the spiritual life, to the spiritual existence. Because they can be spiritual. Everything can be spiritual. Actually, everything is spiritual. The difference between spiritual and material is just our consciousness. Because everything that comes from God is spiritual. So everything comes from God, isn't it?
Yes, and we've discussed this concept at length. So Matthew, this is all very, very enlightening. And when somebody like me looks at Radha and Krishna and Shiva and Parvati, you've mentioned your source, you've mentioned your own conditioning.
Yeah.
What's the next step, Mataji? What's the relationship? What's the true way to understand the relationship between Radha and Krishna and Shiva and Parvati? Because, there's a viewpoint that, God couldn't possibly be involved in these sort of activities. What's all this?
That's the problem. What do you know about God? You don't know. You have the idea that God cannot possibly be engaged in these activities. It's your belief or the belief of people who have conditioned you. Because what can God do? Krishna in Bhagavad Gita is saying, you remember that verse, which it was very shocking to me when I actually, read it. It's Krishna says, "I am karma that is not against dharma." So karma means desire, means, if we want, or karma is also erotic love, romantic love, right? The Kama Sutra is not talking about, making garlands only, So, when Krishna says, "I am," means that Kama is actually God. And what is the meaning of is not against the Dharma? If we understand what Dharma is, then we can understand the difference between Dharma and Adharma. Now, Dharma, the principles of Dharma, the four main principles of Dharma is explained in Bhagavata Purana. You remember the story of Parikshit meeting with the Kali Purusha?
Yes.
Yeah, so the four legs of Dharma are described as Satyam, Dayam, Socham, Tapas. Means truthfulness, honesty, sincerity, compassion, harmony, love, benevolence, friendliness, Daya, just don't hurt anyone. Okay? Socha means cleanliness, which means not just taking a bath, but, having a clean mind. Okay? And tapas means self-control, not controlling other people, but controlling oneself. There is a time and a place for everything. Okay? And, we have to be conscious of about what we're doing, why we're doing. That means self-control. Okay? We make choices. We choose whether to do things or not. That doesn't mean we choose not to do anything. Choosing doesn't mean refusing.
Absolutely. So Matthew, on that point, so now we've established that, well, you need to get over this projection that God just sits there, looking over things, ordering things.
Sits on a cloud, in the sky.
Killing a few people, and maybe killing a few people they might not like, you know, etc. You know, that's the typical sort of projection.
Yeah.
So we've got over that. The next step, Mataji, is let's talk about Radha. Let's talk about Parvati.
Yes.
Are they spiritual beings? How did they come to be?
Oh,
That's something
they're not just spiritual beings, they're Shakti.
Yes, so let's talk a bit about that, Mataji.
Okay.
About where, because people look at that and think, oh, how did Radha come into being? How did Parvati come into being? Can we talk a little bit about the origin of
Okay.
that?
So we know how, we know how to approach, how to understand, we clarified that. Now we're going on the theological level. So, what is God? God is described as the Param Brahman. Param Brahman is, the Vedic Shastra clearly say that God is male and female at the same time. Brahman is one, in the sense that is the whole thing, everything, existence. So existence is composed by the two factors, we can call them factors, components, that are called Purusha and Prakriti. Okay, Prakriti means the one that does. So the Prakriti or Shakti or energy, the female part of the existence, is the principle of creation, the principle of manifestation. Everything is manifested through the mother. So the mother, Shakti, Adi Shakti, can manifest, is a main, the only source of manifestation, both of spiritual manifestations and material manifestations. As Yogamaya, she is manifesting the spiritual forms, names, activities, qualities, sentiments, feelings, everything. As Mahamaya, she is manifesting all the material elements. But it's the same energy, it's the same female energy, the same Shakti. And Shakti is God. God is both at the same time, male and female. Have you seen the picture, for example, of Shiva, Ardhanarishwara?
Yes, I've seen that, Mataji.
What does that mean? It means they're one. Not because they unite, but because they were one originally. The one became two. And this is also confirmed, for example, when there is this famous conversation in the Upanishad, with Yajnavalkya. I think Yajnavalkya and Maitreya, when they were talking, and he was asked how many gods there are. So he was explaining, the 33 that are the manifestations of the archetype of the material world, the universe. And then he goes, less and less and less, and then he says 3. Because 3 are the mother, father, and son. Vishnu, Shakti, Shiva. Have you seen the image of Mother Kali nursing baby Shiva?
I don't think I have, but...
Okay. Because Shiva is the child. There are 3 different tattvas there. There is the Vishnu tattva, the Shakti tattva, and the Shiva tattva. Shiva tattva is not Vishnu tattva. It's not Shakti tattva. It's not Jiva tattva. So, the one, the original Brahman, the supreme Brahman, is both Vishnu and Adishakti together. Adishakti is called the sister Krishna. You remember?
Yes.
Yes.
So in essence, Mataji, it's not that two becomes one. But
one becomes two, exactly.
Two. So that's the first concept that I failed to understand all these things.
Exactly, upside down.
So one effectively becomes two. So what you're saying, Mataji, is the Brahman is effectively the male, the Purusha, and the female, which is Prakriti. There's two components.
Purusha, the Brahman, the Supreme Brahman, Param Brahman. Yes.
Exactly. Please carry on.
Okay, so once we have clarified this, you see already the perspective becomes very different. So the Shakti is one and manifests everything. Now the original Vishnu, the original Param Brahman, is non-manifested. It's not, when it is together, still together, Purusha and Prakriti, they're not distinct. It means it's not manifested. What is the meaning of manifestation? Manifestation means something that appears and then disappears. So, Krishna in Gita starts his teachings by saying that all beings go through the stages before they're not manifested, then become manifested, and then they become non-manifested.
So Mataji, you've mentioned that Brahman has, becomes two, which is Purusha and Prakriti.
Manifest as two.
So it manifests. So are you saying that even Brahman manifests appears and disappears into Prakriti, which is the female, and the doer, and Purusha? Is that what we're saying here, Mataji?
Yeah. But in the beginning, the first manifestation, is so, in the three Purusha avatars, you remember, Karanakasha Vishnu, Kshirodakasha Vishnu, Garbhodakasha Vishnu, Kshirodakasha Vishnu, right? Now, the Karanakasha Vishnu manifested at the beginning of time. So it's so long, this manifestation, that we practically cannot see the beginning, and we definitely cannot see the end.
I understand. And Mataji, looking at it from, again, the neophyte perspective, do we therefore see God as both male and female?
Yeah, we have to
see God.
Yeah. You must have heard that Krishna is never alone.
Yes, I've heard that. Yeah. But in the sense when we see, how other religions refer to God as a he. God will understand. He will do this. God will do that. We shouldn't use he exclusively with God, because Brahman is effectively Purusha and Prakriti. Would that be a reasonable inference, Mataji?
Yeah, the point is that when you say other religions, you're basically meaning the Abrahamic religions.
Yes, of course. Yes.
Because, for example, Buddhism is a religion, but it doesn't say that.
Yeah.
And most the ancient pagan, so-called pagan religions didn't say that.
Yeah. Okay, absolutely. So that's really important, Mataji. So with that important concept now also cleared up, you've talked about Prakriti. Tell me about Prakriti and Purusha. How do we get from that to Radha Krishna? What's the relationship between?
Yes, we are getting there. Now, both Radha Krishna and Parvati Shiva are avatars. What is the meaning of avatar? Avatar means literally who descends. That means the Supreme Brahman descends into a manifested form in the material world for a particular purpose. Krishna is explaining Gita Paritranaya Sadhanam Vinashaya Chaduskritam Dharma Samsapanart. So, the Supreme Brahman appears in this world, manifests in this world through Yogamaya. But the manifestation means there is a beginning and an end of the manifestation. But it's not that the personality of God that appears starts to exist at that time. It exists eternally, but it manifests through the Yogamaya. So we say Krishna, Janmashtami is Krishna's appearance day. Radhashtami is Radha's appearance day. Right?
Yes.
So,
yes.
what does that mean? They didn't exist before? They existed
they manifest.
Before. Yeah, but they manifest. They
Yes.
appear and then they disappear. It's not that they appear and they always constantly stay. Sometimes they stay for the entire duration of the universe. Why not? But then they disappear.
So, Mataji, what you're saying here is Radha, and again, I'm being neophytic and blunt, neophytic be a word, Radha is effectively God.
Yeah.
It's just a manifestation.
It's Shakti. It's a Shakti, yeah.
It's a manifestation of the divine feminine.
Yep.
That's what you're saying,
Yeah.
basically, Mataji.
Radha is called also Radhini Shakti, right?
Yes.
What is the meaning of Shakti?
Yes. So here, Mataji, is the big difference here, because you look at this as materialists, people who are like me, look at this and think, it's we relate it to meeting a girl and dating a girl, etc. No, that's how we perceive it.
Because the energy, the Shakti is there.
But Mataji,
Yeah.
what Radha and Krishna and Parvati and Shiva are in effect part of God, the Prakriti and the Purusha. It's totally different from going out on a date with a girl, basically. That's what you're saying, Mataji.
Yeah,
it's not,
of course. There is a totally different level.
That's my point, Mataji. And forgive me for sounding crude, but it's just so important that we get this understanding right, because we don't project a material world view onto what is essentially very sacred. Because what you've done here, Mataji,
the problem is, if we believe we are the body, we will unfortunately project the same concepts, the same ideas of God.
But this is coming from a completely different plane, because here you're saying that Brahman becomes Prakriti and Purusha. So what you're seeing, Mataji, in Radha and Krishna and Shiva and Parvati is the avatars of Prakriti and Purusha and their interplay. Is that right, Mataji?
Yes.
Basically?
Yeah. Exactly.
You're seeing that with material eyes, but what you're seeing is effectively a transcendental play, so to speak, Mataji, with Prakriti and Purusha. That's what you're saying.
Transcendental existence, yeah. I mean, another big misconception that circulates is, again, due to the Abrahamic idea, don't make any image, because God doesn't have a body. Okay? It's not true. The spiritual existence, the transcendental existence, the consciousness, can manifest in a way that is very similar, that looks very much like material physical bodies. So, you remember Gita, Krishna said, Janma karma cha me divyam, ebam yavetti tattvatha, tyaktva deham punarjanma, naitimam. What does that mean? Someone who actually understands the birth and activities, means the body of the avatars, doesn't have to come back, doesn't, becomes liberated, is liberated, because we cannot really understand the body of the avatar unless we understand our actual identity as Atman. And the other way around. When we understand God, we understand the Atman. Aham Brahmasmi. Because we are identical in quality, albeit not in quantity, but we are identical in quality. Achintya Bheda Abheda. We are one and the same. At the same time, we are distinct because it's a matter, it's a matter of quantity.
So, Mataji, now, obviously, we've clarified that there's a it's looking at it from that transcendental plane. Now,
yeah.
How is it? You've talked about Brahman becomes Prakriti, the doer, and Purusha. So, can you relate that function of Prakriti and Purusha, the doer and for Prakriti, and can you talk a little bit about Purusha, but then how does it translate into the physical, the so-called material images of Radha and Krishna and Shiva and Parvati?
Yeah, they're
Where's
not
the
material. They're manifested. It means they can perceive.
The manifestation. Yeah. Yes, what we're seeing with our eyes. Mataji.
Exactly,
This lila.
Exactly.
When we see this lila, Mataji, how does it translate into what you've talked about, Prakriti and Purusha? Prakriti is the doer. What's the role of Purusha? And now, can you bring that to the manifestation of what we see on the images of Radha and Krishna and Shiva and Parvati?
Okay. Now, the definition of Purusha as per the Vedic Shastra is a rasa vaisa. Purusha is the factor or principle of perception. It is also translated as bhokta, which is usually translated in English as the enjoyer. But it's not the idea of enjoyer that we have in the current, Western sense.
Yes, Mataji. I thought that it's someone who sits back and enjoys it. That's
exactly.
That's what I.
Or someone who exploits. Because enjoyer, most semantically speaking, indicates someone who exploits, who gets the enjoyment, who is entitled to enjoyment, and the others are not. You see the difference. But the bhokta, yes, in the sense of enjoyer, means the one who perceives. Is a principle of perception. The identity, the Atman Brahman, Krishna in Bhagavad Gita speaks about the two Purushas. One is the Supreme Purusha, the Param Purusha, and the other is the Atman, the Jivatman. There are two Purushas. But that doesn't mean that we are just Purushas, we are also Prakriti. This is the difference between the one becomes two and then they generate a child. Shiva is the first child. We are all children after Shiva. We are children of the father and the mother. And this has always been there in all the ancient religions. The mother is supreme goddess and the father is a consort, is the enjoyer in the sense that is the principle of perception. The Prakriti is the principle of action. But the perception is I am. That's why Shiva is presented as the controller of the Ahankara. You understand?
Yeah, I do. I'm now getting it. But what does that translate into on a? I don't like to use that word, but on a foot, you've said Prakriti is the doer.
Yeah.
What does Purusha, quote unquote, do on a functional level?
He perceives, the principle of perception perceives. When the definition raso vai sa is the Purusha is the taste, is the one that tastes, not exactly enjoying in the sense only the good taste, but every taste. Taste means perception, right? Rasa means taste.
Yes.
Taste means perception.
Correct. Absolutely.
So it's a principle of perception. The I am.
Okay. I am. And so Mataji, this is helpful because then, so you've talked about Prakriti is the doer.
Yes.
Purusha is the perceiver, the I am.
Yeah.
What's our relationship to Purusha? Like, let's say I'm doing whatever as Atman. What's our relationship to Purusha as individual units of consciousness, so to speak, as Atman? What is our relationship to?
We are the children of the Purusha and Prakriti. We are part of the body of the Supreme Brahman. We're like cells in a body. We're parts because we are connected and we relate to the entire body and we serve the entire body in a natural way, not because we are exploited or mistreated, we are slaves or whatever, but because we are naturally part of the whole, of the complete existence.
So Mataji, obviously, again, this is another misconception I'd like you to clear up. You've said that, Prakriti obviously is the doer, but Prakriti can't exist without Purusha, and Purusha can't exist without Prakriti. Yep. What's Purusha's role if Prakriti? What does perceiving actually? What does that translate into creation? Let's say I'm walking about on the street now, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that. What's its relationship to Purusha perceiving?
You decide what to do as Purusha, and the Prakriti performs the action. Means you walk down the street because your body walks down the street.
Yes.
So
correct.
Your body, your physical body is made of material elements.
Yes.
Your subtle body is made of material elements. So it's the material elements that perform the action. You are the one who decides, who perceives, okay, I want to walk the street.
Indeed. Now I'm getting there. So what you're saying is that Purusha is the intention. Prakriti is the Prakriti is the manifestation.
Yeah.
Purusha is the intention.
Yeah.
Prakriti is the one who creates. Purusha is the one who intends, the one who decides. Is that right, Mataji?
From that side? But even the decision is done through the Icha Shakti. There are three main forms of Shakti. Jnana, Kriya, Icha. Jnana, Icha, Kriya. Jnana means knowledge, perception, Icha means the decision, desire, and Kriya means intention and decision to actually perform the action.
Yes, completely understand.
This is
Now,
why, this is why Shiva holds the Trishula. The Trishula, Shiva's Trishula is not just like a fork to eat, food.
yes, yes. It has the three components of creation.
Jnana, Icha, and Kriya. The three main forms, the three primordial forms of Shakti.
And can you explain each of them in a nutshell, just for me?
Jnana means knowledge, perception.
Yes.
Being aware of things, knowing things. Jnana.
Yes.
Icha means desiring. They're very self-explanatory names.
Yes.
So desire, choosing, making a choice. Desiring, the attraction towards a particular type of action. And then the Kriya is the actual action, which means what, the purpose, the intention, the sankalpa, if you will. Like you decide to do it, but then who is doing it? Prakrite kriyamana niguna karbani sarvasaha. Ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. Because everything is done by the Prakriti.
Okay, so you've now defined the three components that make Purusha, Mataji, and that's manifested in Shiva's. Yes, and those three components of Purusha, as it so happens, are the three bits of Shiva's Trishul as well, isn't it? Basically, Mataji.
The symbol. Now, the Trishul is the symbol of these three Shaktis. Yeah.
Indeed. So, Mataji, my next question is that you've obviously defined Purusha, the perceiver. You've defined Prakriti as the doer.
Yeah.
So that bit now wonderfully explained, really clear. My next bit is we then look at the images and we see the romance between the two. We see. Now, how do we translate that to the functions you've defined with Prakriti? Is it a romance or is it just the synergy that we are seeing manifest?
It is both. There is no contradiction. Existence is in love with itself. Love is the greatest power in the world. Lots of people instinctively say God is love.
But what does that mean, Mataji? Because
it means harmony. It means good sentiments. It means, sat. Sat. Yeah.
Yes. So in effect, when we see Radha smitten with Krishna, we are seeing Prakriti and Purusha that can't exist without each other.
Yes.
Effectively. That's what you're seeing, Mataji. Am I right? Basically?
Yeah. And each one celebrating the other.
Yes.
So these are the two components of manifested reality. They cannot exist without each other.
Wonderful. That bit now is is much more clearer.
Good.
My next question, Mataji, it might be slightly controversial, but I'm going to ask you: is there how some groups focus on just Radha and Krishna and ignore the Shiva and Parvati aspect? Now, Mataji, how do we? How is there a distinction between the Leela of Radha and Krishna and Shiva and Parvati? Is there a difference? Are they acting in different ways? We're talking about the interaction, these two separate
Not
pairs.
really, not really. Yeah.
Can you explain about that? How do we make sense of this?
You know, the manifestations of the Leelas of Radha Krishna and the Leelas of Shiva Parvati are at the same time the depiction of the fundamental ontological, theological, philosophical principles of reality. And at the same time, they are also giving us the example of how to reunite with God. Because the Radha is showing bhakti, all the rasas and everything, and bhakti is the energy. Radha is bhakti, right? Bhakti Devi, So
yes,
we, through Radha, through bhakti, we can, as jivas, we can again connect with Krishna and unite with Krishna, enter into Krishna consciousness. Right? So, yes. It's about helping us to find Krishna.
Indeed, but then...
And the same is Parvati. Parvati is a second avatar, because the first avatar was Sati in the material world.
Yes.
Okay. Then Sati left her body out of protest. Against her father Daksha, and then she appeared as the daughter of the Himalaya, Himavan,
Yes.
Actually, the name Parvati literally refers to the mountain.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
So she's a daughter of the mountain.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. And when she appeared, she took birth, we can say, she decided to attain Shiva. And Shiva had withdrawn from the Madhurya Lila, we can say, when Sati had left her body. Sati had died. Okay, so he actually was so angry because once, Kamadeva tried to go and disturb him.
Yes, I've heard that story.
And just Shiva opened his eye, what? Zot! So he reduced Kamadeva into ashes. So all the devas were all worried because, if Kama is not doing his job, how can the world continue?
Yes.
So they were praying to Shiva and say, well, what we do now, because you made ashes of our, the principle of reproduction, so what we do now. And Shiva said, okay, well, when I marry, it will come out again, it will be beneficial.
So Mataji, again, the neophyte would then say, well, you've talked about Radha being the bhakti, the path to Krishna consciousness, and then obviously, why do we need Parvati and I know this is a really blunt question, and it's not an
we don't really need, you see, but we have the concept, I'm sure you are familiar with the concept of Ishta Devata.
Yes, indeed I am, very much so.
The thing is, we can meditate on any form of God, of Brahman, Param Brahman. The important thing is we shouldn't be offensive to the other forms of Param Brahman.
Yes.
As long as we are not offensive towards the other forms of Param Brahman, it's perfectly okay to be exclusively focused on one form.
Indeed. But my question to you, Mataji, is, are there any differences between the Lila of Parvati and Shiva with Radha and Krishna?
Yeah, the Leela of Radha Krishna are more attractive to people who are very sentimental.
Right.
And let me say, culturally speaking, the culture of Bengal is quite sentimental. You know
Yes.
that.
Yes.
In a good way, and
Yes.
sometimes it has also
Yes, it has its flaws. Yes,
yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
good
For
side and
sure.
bad side. But
Yeah.
it's very the Leela of Radha Krishna is so much more attractive to the sentimental mentality
Mm.
because it has all the drama, all the passion,
Mm.
all the
Mm.
the whole package.
But if you're not a sentimentalist by nature
Exactly.
and you're a little bit more practical
Yeah.
and you're a little bit less, emotional.
You're more austere.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So what? Yes.
That's
So what you're
that's
saying,
exactly the
Mataji?
path of Parvati to Shiva. She did austerities.
Mm.
How did
Whereas with Radha,
yeah
it's more about devotion and
yeah
feeling
passion
rather than
yeah
performing austerity.
Radha didn't
It's
do any
more,
austerity, not even one bit.
yeah, right. And again, Mataji, what you're saying is people are different,
Yeah
various. So
yeah
therefore, there's a different appeal to
yeah.
different people, to
That's the
different
idea.
psychologies,
That's the
basically.
idea. The attraction. One of the main reasons of the avatars is to attract the
Yes,
jivas through their lila
yes,
because they're so attractive,
wonderful.
so amazing, and that is why there are so many of these lilas because each person in each particular position of their
Yes.
personal evolution they're attracted by different things.
So, Mataji, this is very, very clear, and we've covered a lot of important ground.
Okay.
My final question, Mataji, is what is the relationship of Mark Ali to all this? What is the
Oh.
relationship of Mark Ali to these Radha Krishna and also to Parvati Shiva? Where do we see Mark Ali? And this is my final question to you.
Makali is time. Is the first manifestation of the Adishakti. The Adishakti, you remember we were discussing the Mahatattva, the first Purusha avatar is Karodakashay Vishnu. And
Yes.
how it all starts with time. Durga is the Adi Shakti, the first manifestation of Durga is Kali. Because Kali is time. Everything starts with time. The very idea of starting is based on the concept of time.
So, Mataji, what you're saying is when creation comes into existence,
Yeah.
the first manifestation of time is Mark Ali. Is that right, Mataji?
No, it's not a manifestation of time. She manifests time. She is time.
So it's the other way around.
Yeah.
It's the other way around.
Yeah.
It's a manifestation of Prakriti that
Yes.
signifies time.
Yes.
Is that right,
Yes.
Mataji?
Exactly. Yeah. Precisely. Yeah. Correct. So Durga, Prakriti, Shakti, the original Prakriti, is Durga. It's called Durga. Because she's strong. She is the citadel. She is the basis of the house on which everything is built. And the first manifestation of Durga, the first manifestation of Prakriti is time, it's Kali. Then we have Lakshmi, then we have Saraswati.
So Mataji, Prakriti, the first manifestation of Prakriti is Durga. Is that what you're saying, Mataji? What's the relationship there? And then obviously, in it, the first manifestation of Durga that signifies time is Skali. Is that right, Mataji?
Yeah. Then Kali, starts the big clock. Yeah. It's a time. And as such, it creates and destroys. It's a mother and it's death. It's a night, the eternal night, the Kalaratri. In space,
what does that mean?
if you go into
Eternal
space,
night.
everything is black, right?
Yes.
Even if you are looking directly as the sun or any star, the space is always black. That's why,
Yes.
Kali is considered the sister of Krishna, Kali and Kala. The Bija mantra for Kali are inserted in the Mula mantras for Krishna. Because Kali is the sister of Krishna, Kali is the sister of Kala. When Krishna Gita says, Kalasmi, I am time. It's because it's the first manifestation. The concept of time is also time. Time has a Purusha and a Prakriti aspect, two aspects. So the Purusha aspect of time is Krishna, Vishnu, and the female aspect, the Prakriti aspect, is Mother Kali.
What's the relationship, Mataji? Can you just clarify? Because there's confusion amongst people who say Kali is a separate being from Durga. Some
No,
people
it's
say
not a
Is that-
separate. What is the meaning of separate being? There's no separate
Yeah,
being.
exactly. So can you please clarify that, Mataji, just for the audience?
No, I mean, again, it's the Achintya Bheda. How is Krishna separate from Vishnu?
Non-separate.
Say
It's not
Vishnu.
separate.
Yeah. So how can you say that Kali is separate from Durga? It's the same. It's one and the same. Only the form looks different. The name looks different. The activities look different, but they're actually the same ontological principle, the same tattva.
So Mataji, what you're saying, do we liken Kali as an avatar of Prakriti? Or do we liken her as an avatar of Durga? How do we see that?
It's the same. Because Durga is an avatar of Prakriti and Kali is an avatar of Durga. So what? It's the same. The source is the same.
Is it therefore, Mataji, is it similar to how we view Narasimha, Rama?
Sure. And Vishnu, yeah.
Is this how we see them in exactly the same way?
Exactly.
They're all avatars of Prakriti, just like Parashurama, just like
there are avatars of Vishnu, who is an avatar of the Param Brahman. But Param Brahman again is composed by Purusha and Prakriti. So Vishnu as Purusha is an avatar, and Durga as Prakriti is an avatar of the Param Brahman. You cannot separate them.
Mataji, that's been very, very insightful, because there was a lot of confusion, certainly in my mind on this, and I think this has been incredibly helpful, and I think we've covered a lot of very, very important ground.
But now you understand why I started where I started with the explanation.
Yes.
Okay, good.
You started saying you must know the source.
Yeah.
You must understand, you must check your source from the outset. And that, I think, has been fundamental in sort of progressing my understanding.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd like to thank you, Mataji, for this wonderful discussion, and I think we've cleared a lot of very, very important points. So
Thanks.
my humble obeisances.
Thanks to you.
My humble obeisances.
Yeah. Okay.
Jaya Shriman Narayana.
Jai Shriman Narayana. Till the next time.
Till the next time. Thank you.